Shalom, shalom. This video is about the Gospel of John chapter 8, verse 3 to 11. It's about the adulteress and some Torah scholars' sly prayer attempt to trap YESHUA. I'll read the text for you and then talk a little bit about it. The text open with, on the morning of the 8th day of Sukkot. The Torah scholars sometimes are translated the same Greek word translated as lawyers or as Torah experts. In some cases, and you see some bias from the translator, whether they talk about Torah scholars or lawyers or Torah experts. And because they're painting the text with their personal opinion, and that's why they use different words, translating the same Greek word at different times. Okay, let's try that again. The Torah scholars and Pharisees brought in a woman who had been caught in adultery, and they brought her to YESHUA. After putting her in the middle, they said to YESHUA, "Teacher," that's a rabbi, "this woman has been caught in the act of committing adultery. In the Torah, Moses commanded us to stone such women. So what do you say?" No, they were saying this to trap him, so that they would have had grounds to accuse him. But YESHUA knelt down and started writing in the dirt with his finger. When they kept asking him, he stood up and said, "The sinless one amongst you, let him be the first to throw a stone at her." Then he knelt down again and continued writing on the ground. Now when they heard, they began to leave, one by one, the oldest ones first, until YESHUA was left alone with the woman in the middle. Straightening up, YESHUA said to her, "Woman, where are they? Did no one condemn you?" "No one, sir," she said. "Then neither do I condemn you," YESHUA said. "Go and sin no more." It is very meaningful that this happened on the 8th day of Sukkot, the day of new beginnings. It represented a new beginning for the woman in the middle. The prayer of the accusers were, "Teacher," or "Rabbi, this woman has been caught in the act of committing adultery. In the Torah, Moses commanded us to stone such women. What do you say?" The Torah scholars placed themselves in the role of Hasatan, the accuser of the believers in this. They formed a circle of mockers, as was foreseen in Psalm 1 verse 1, placing the adulteress in the middle of this circle of mockers. In this they dress rehearsed for YESHUA's illegal trial that was still 6 months in the future. But for now the woman stood in the place that would be occupied by YESHUA when the sins of the world were loaded upon him. In adultery, it usually takes two to tango, and the guilty man seems strangely missing from this impromptu hearing. And of course, it could be a similar case to the case of Mrs. Potiphar and Joseph, in which the man must be acquitted of guilt. But except for the absence of the man, we have no such indication in the text. It may also be because the text said that it was a trap, that the guilty man was deliberately excluded as part of the scheme. The Torah scholars referred to Leviticus 20 verse 10 and Leviticus 22 verse 22, and the reference certainly includes the man into the transgression and into the sanction as well, death by stoning, for both the man and the woman. So the question is, how was this a trap for YESHUA? Well, in a simple, direct understanding, it was to test him to uphold the Torah regarding the adulteress. In extension, it was to test him regarding the adulterer who was not present at the hearing, as the Torah applied equally to him. Could it be that if YESHUA judged one and not the other, that he failed to judge equally without bias, as the Torah requires? The sought or hidden trap is not visible to me at this time, but I do reject the Bible commentators who wrote that the power to execute belong only to the Romans. and that Yeshua would have transgressed Roman law if he said that the adulteress must be stoned. These commentators fail to read that Stephen was stoned, Stephen the first martyr, and that Paul claimed to have been stoned more than once. These stonings indicate that the Romans couldn't care less if and when Jews executed other Jews, as long as it did not lead to greater social upheaval. This is why I think that the Bible commentators are grasping at straw in this regard. Therefore, I do not consider a potential charge of sedition against Roman authority as the trap against Yeshua. But I don't have a better answer. There has been a lot of speculation regarding what exactly Yeshua wrote with his finger in the dust of the temple's courtyard. Personally, I favor that his gesture was to remind those who paid attention that it was him who wrote the 10 Commandments with his finger. In Exodus 31 verse 18, we read that Elohim wrote it with his finger, or Adonai wrote it with his finger. It was that same finger of God that he used to create the heavens in Psalm 8 verse 3, and with which he drove demons out, according to Luke 11 verse 20. And that same finger which he wrote with on Belshazzar's wall in Daniel 5 verse 5, and with which he brought about the 10 plagues over Egypt in Exodus 8 verse 19. I also like Gill's exposition's editor comment that Yeshua were writing in the dust, and that his writing related to Jeremiah 17 verse 13, where we read that they that depart from me shall be written in the earth. This also holds water. In this interpretation, Yeshua was writing the names of the accusers in the earth, thus fulfilling the prophecy of Jeremiah. They knew the Torah and they knew the prophets well, including this passage, and upon seeing their own names in the dust, they were convicted in their hearts, and they slinked away from Yeshua in self-contemplation. Yeshua's answer reads a tad different in the Gospel of John when compared to the Synoptic Gospels. It reads, "The sinless one amongst you, let him be the first to throw a stone at her." There was no sinless person amongst the accusers, except for one, and he was not an accuser. In fact, Yeshua was the only sinless one. In this, he said that he was the ultimate judge, and that he is Elohim, as the name of Elohim denotes both the creator God and the judge. In creation is judgment. At the end of each day, he said that it was good, and even very good on occasion. When the good turned sour with violence and wokeness and corrupted DNA, he judged it to be drowned in the flood. He will soon judge the world again, and this time by fire. In his restraint and answer to the test posed to him, Yeshua did not give a blanket abolishment of all sin. And in the next look-see of the text, we'll evaluate the woman's prayer and Yeshua's final words to her. Until then, I bid you shalom, shalom.